Right. How do you decide what news to talk about on the podcast, on This Week in Science?
So there are two different categories that I kind of go for. This Week in Science, we try and make the program itself fun and something that will grab a lot of different people's attention. So we don't go for, I guess, every once in a while I will do this kind of a story, but kind of the inside baseball, the science, the mechanisms of how some ion channel works. Not many people really want to know about that, and it's not really going to stimulate a lot of people's interest. It's like, okay, so you have a six domain membrane spanning ion channel, blah blah blah. People are going to be like, what? All right. So, you have to. For This Week in Science, I try and find stories that are attention grabbing. That are going to be really interesting, and so sometimes they become the kind of sensationalist science stuff that's been done where you're like, I can't believe somebody did that study.
Right, yeah.
I can't believe people are talking about, what did we talk about this last week? Or ones that are just really crazy, like zombie parasites, parasites that will infect. This one a couple of weeks ago, it's a zombie parasite. It infects ladybugs, and it lays it's a moth, I think. Can't remember exactly, but it's the insect, the parasite, lays its eggs in the belly, the abdomen of the ladybug, and then that as the larva grows, it eats the ladybug from the inside, right? To sustain itself and to grow.
Right.
But it doesn't just eat the inside of the ladybug and kill the ladybug. It keeps it alive. It eats just enough to keep itself alive and keep the ladybug alive. And the ladybug then has these like twitches and things that it does that scare off potential predators. So it actually is a survival mechanism for this parasite, this parasitic larva. And then at some point, the larva when the larva is going to hatch, it goes alien on the ladybug and bursts forth from its abdomen.
Nasty.
Yeah. Surprising thing of this study, 25% of the ladybugs survive this encounter with the larva.
Oh, really?
Afterwards, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was really crazy. So, there's a quarter of the ladybugs that are, I guess, don't have so much of their insides eaten that they can continue to live.
Right. They got some serious post-traumatic stress disorder, I'm sure.
But, so stories like that are just like, what? This is just a crazy story. This bug eats the insides of another bug, but keeps it alive like a zombie, and they're just wild stories like that. But then there are the ones that make you hope and dream about where humanity can go. So things like the Kepler mission, or for NASA, or anything to do with particle accelerators. The LHC over in CERN, Geneva, Switzerland. It's questions of how the universe is put together. Where did we come from? Are there other organisms like humans in the universe? How do we find that out? Things that kind of get you asking the big questions are ones that I love to talk about. And then there's the fun stuff of just, how do people work? So kind of psychology, the neuroscience. Of course, I get into bird brains very often. So yes, we did talk about the angry crows story. We did talk about the angry crows from a couple of weeks ago. And I absolutely believe it. Crows, the corvid family, have their amazing memories. Yeah, so I look for things that get me excited
Mm-hmm.
And if I get excited about it, then I figure somebody else will too.
Right, right. Well, do you think that the purpose and the audience has changed for you at all since the old-timey radio days?
The old-timey, yeah, back in my day. Yeah, I'm not that old yet, really.
I was thinking of the radio. It was versus the podcast, not you at all.
I know. No, it's.
I came on totally wrong.
I think that it's the possibility of reaching an international audience has been just fascinating to me. Excuse me. So, it started out being a show on a local college radio station, right? So we're talking to, the local people of Davis. Okay. Most people in Davis are at the university. They're probably interested in, intellectual advancement, learning new things. And then, we started to grow, and we put MP3s. We got a website. We put MP3s up on the website. We eventually got into podcasting, and, now we're live streaming and podcasting. And, we went from this little tiny local perspective show to a show that now has an international audience. And so the stories that I pick now, I think, more often reflect that. And they're not so much, UC Davis researchers did this, where it used to be just talking about kind of local issues. Now the show, I try and talk about stuff that has more appeal to a wider audience.
Right, right. Do you think you have more kind of kids, teenagers, families listening than you did before?
Yeah.
And does that affect how you decide what to talk about?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are stories that I'm like, do I want to talk about this? Like I brought up a story, because I brought up a story about how androgens, testosterone and estrogen, the sex hormones, testosterone affects your finger length while you're developing in the womb. And so we had a conversation about how if it affects your finger length, and testosterone also affects the male sex organ and female.
Right.
So the finger length is then associated with penis length.
Right.
There's a scientific study that covered this. And so,
Of course there is.
and it's a scientific study, so yes, I want to talk about it. And then I'm like, can I really talk about this? Okay, I think I can talk about this. I just have to, I don't know. I had to be straight up reporting on this one. I don't need to embellish at all.
Right.
Yeah, so knowing that there is a wide audience, I do have kids that listen to the show, which means that, we've never cursed on the show. And we always, because we started as a radio show, so we've always been radio friendly, which means that there's no cursing, there's no indecency, so no profanity, no indecency, no obscenity. We really try and stick to that and keep it PG to PG-13.
Right.
Make it appropriate to a large number of people. I'm sure there are some people who listen to the show who are older who wish that we would, run with the jokes sometimes, but
right.
Yeah, but I have people in my audience who are in their 80s. I have people who I have had parents email me and tell me that they have, their 2-year-old listening to the show.
That's awesome.
My 2-year-old knows your theme song by heart. It's like, that's great.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
So I've got, a very wide range, a lot of teenagers in the audience. I know I've got a lot of teen listeners. And I don't know, I just try and make things interesting. I try not to dumb things down ever. But cool. I do try and make it understandable and try and make it fun at the same time.
Mm-hmm. What do you think are, just thinking back over the news that you have covered, what do you, for you at least, what do you think are the most kind of exciting, fascinating science events or discoveries of the past year or so? What stands out?
Oh my goodness. Well, I've been following the National Ignition Facility.
Okay.
And periodically they have tests. They've been building this facility for like 13 years, and within the last year, they got it to the point that they are just starting to be active. So the National Ignition Facility is a laser fusion facility, and they're trying to create fusion where they take gold atoms, I think, that they're fusing together. No, it's no, I'm sorry, that's wrong. It's hydrogen atoms, heavy water, basically, deuterium and tritium.
Okay.
That they have these little atoms, deuterium and tritium, and they're encased in this little gold capsule. And this little gold capsule, it's like the size of an eraser on a pencil. And the atoms inside, are microscopic, but the little, but it's called a holrum, and it's about the size of an eraser. It's the target for this massive laser that's like miles and miles of laser conduit, and this building that's 10 stories tall. That this laser is seriously the most powerful laser on the planet.
Wow. Where is this?
This is in Livermore, California. It's the National Ignition Facility. It's a national laboratory at Livermore National Labs. And they're trying to take these little atoms of deuterium and tritium and fuse them together using lasers, and this massive energy coming in from a 360-degree attacks. They've got lasers coming in from all around that are just firing on this little pencil eraser, And all that firing power is going to fuse those atoms, and they hope that they're going to get more energy out than they have to put in.
Oh, okay.
And so the whole purpose of this is it's a big science experiment, because they don't know if they're actually going to be able to do it. But physics, the rules of physics that they understand, suggest that they should be able to. And if they can, it's called, if they can get energy out of this, and they can do it once, what if they could do that a number of times? What if they could do it, fire a laser, and just do it over and over and over and over and over and over again? Could they actually end up creating an energy source that would be less expensive and safer than nuclear fission, which is what our nuclear reactors are right now, and is cleaner than oil or petroleum that we use. So they've got a program, it's called the LIFE program, that if they can get this experiment that they've been building for 13 years, if they can get it to work and get energy out when they fire it sometime in the next 6 months or so, they're going to be going down the track of this LIFE experiment, which they hope to be able to create the first nuclear fusion power plant in the world. And they could power, they could create, I don't remember the exact amount, but basically like a cup of seawater could power an entire city.
Wow.
Yeah. And that is exciting. There's such exciting stuff there.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I got excited and hit my microphone.